And from what I hear, and I hear it pretty good, the intelligence people many of them didn't believe it happened at all. I think it's a hoax.
You remember that? President Trump last fall knocking a story in the New York Times that claimed Russia placed bounties on U.S. troops. At the time, Biden and many in the media accused Trump of dismissing the supposed threat and putting American lives at risk. Now we're learning that story was never based on any real heavy evidence. The intel community admitting it only had low to moderate confidence that the story was even true. Joining us now to discuss is Pennsylvania Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, joining us live there. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I believe
Thanks for having me on.
I may have spoken with you about this when it initially broke. Now we've learned these latest details. Was it all a hoax after all?
Well, we know that the media coverage around it was a hoax. I'm talking about the mainstream media coverage, of course, not Newsmax. But here's why. We have to remember that there was low probability this actually occurred, but there was maximum probability this would hurt President Trump because it fueled that media narrative that President Trump was somehow colluding with the Russians. That was an absolute hoax, and this supported that narrative. So look at how that mainstream media took something that likely did not occur, but put it all over the news as if it was true. And now they are just slowly walking it back after, of course, President Trump, all the damage affected President Trump. But at the same time, as they were pushing this false story, fast forward and look at how they treated the Hunter Biden laptop story. They suppressed that with the help of big tech, the mainstream media, and the Democrat Party. So the way the mainstream media is coordinating with the Democrat Party, basically acting as the media wing of the Democrat Party, I think there needs to be an investigation, because you can make the argument that this coverage and these false narratives amount to illegal corporate donations. That's how insidious this is. There should be an FEC investigation on this.
Yeah, well, the story itself is how the mainstream media is portraying this. Because look at the example of how you could tell this story differently. So the story put out now, there's low confidence that there was truth to it. But then you can also say that there's high confidence that it was a lie, because there's low confidence. It just depends on how you tell this story here. And again, you saw the media, and in talking to the public about this, the New York Times has confirmed through the Washington Post, that's not how this works. The news doesn't confirm something from another news outlet. You'd have to confirm it through the U.S. Intel Committee or someone like yourself. And again, you would have to talk about just how verifiable it is. You're a member of the House Judiciary Committee. I want to speak to you about a different topic as well, that court packing issue. I know that's making headlines too. Here's a few things that your colleagues had to say, specifically Congressman Jerry Nadler, and then I'll get your thoughts.
Everything that Senator Markey said about the maneuvers of Senator McConnell and the Republicans delegitimizing the Supreme Court is obviously true. There is no justification. There can be no justification for what they did. And how can Americans look at the Supreme Court and expect it to do justice, to do equal justice, when it has been so severely and obviously politically manipulated?
Congressman, my question for you, did Republicans manipulate the court?
No, absolutely not. And Jerry Nadler is just frankly spewing nonsense. And his rhetoric is actually dangerous given the climate that we're seeing in this country. And the fact that he's now undermining the Supreme Court of the United States is shocking. But the Democrats are doing it for a reason. And that's because the only obstacle between them and actually accomplishing their far left radical agenda is it's really two things. It's one, it's the filibuster, and two, it's the fact that they don't have a monopoly on the Supreme Court. So they want to delegitimize the Supreme Court. They want to make it seem like the Supreme Court is overtly political. It is not. But they don't have respect for checks and balances. They don't have respect for procedures and for legislative and governmental norms. They are hell-bent on having supremacy, one-party rule for decades. And that's what this is really about. And let me just say this, for all the pundits and talking heads out there that are saying that the Democrats are just trying to shift the debate and have other reforms, don't kid yourselves. They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to start this conversation now, so then when they get rid of the filibuster, they can run a bill and pack the Supreme Court with liberal social justice warrior judges who will allow these far left policies to go through and become law. They know exactly what they're doing. It's very dangerous, and we should take them at their word when they say that they want to dismantle the sanctity of the Supreme Court.
It's interesting, too, and I'll close on this. If you actually look at the ruling from the Supreme Court, it's not really, even though there's a conservative lean, there's not really when it's coming to these court cases already. So it's just interesting with John Roberts and seeing where he sides with these cases. Go ahead.
Well, when you're this far to the left as a party, even a moderate is going to seem as a conservative, because this party has drastically moved to the left. And that's why they need to fill this court with radical social justice warrior activists who will, in effect, rubber stamp far left progressive policies for the new Democrat Party.
That is Congressman Guy Reschenthaler of Pennsylvania. Guy, good to see you. You have a great weekend.
You too.